heat through the phone, and all of that. When she's like the first day, she was like typical
Oh
trifling
my gosh.
black fan late on the first day. I was
Hey everyone, this is Soulful and I am Eerees.
And I am Daphne Emily. Thanks for coming back to part 2. And let's start this off with talking about their love life. I was hollering. She called her man trifling. And I
Because he was late.
relate. I related so much to that. And I think that's one thing watching this documentary is seeing her being so human and not so scripted, like she goes through and explains. And now being outside of the White House and doing all this other work, but she's straight up like, now I can say this trifling black man late on the first day, and he just strolled through like, I'm sorry. And she made fun of him, basically be like, he couldn't even have an umbrella, something like that. It was raining.
But then literally right after she was like talking about it, and she was just like, but like it was like, but I'm here. And
like,
then she
late, but it's okay.
Basically, and she was like something along the lines of like, this was love, y'all, like she knew the feeling, and she knew where it was going, and she took a leap of faith. Because I remember her struggling with this, if I'm not mistaken, in the book. Of just like, how she was going to be seen by people, because she had already created a reputation in the law firm, and she was just like, you know what, fuck this shit,
This is my man. And I would give anything to be a fly on the wall when he first walks in, and she's talking about how like all the secretaries are like, girl, and she's like, girl. I would give everything to see that, because I can only imagine him strolling through Mr. Hawaii, chillaxing, walking through, I'm late, my bad. But at the same time, everyone's just like, oh, he's cute. Like, I just wish I could see that. And it's really cute to see her talking about their story, and also remembering from the book. And again, being a woman of color and being in that space where you have to doubt being with someone that you're really attracted with, or someone you really like, because of your fear of what people are going to think of you, because you've worked so hard and you always work so hard. But something like this can tarnish your reputation and belittle who you are and what you've done, because you're into someone.
Yeah.
Repent, man.
I remember she would just, at first she was just chilling, and like there'd be times when they would come together and chat and do these things, and she was just like, she never really looked at him like that much. And then it wasn't until like later when she was just like, let me try this out. And I think it was like a meeting that they went to or something, and even her stepping into the perspective of what people will say, and then also stepping into who he is and who he really was. Because like he was frugal.
He was like, I don't want to call him blasé, but he was just like there.
He
Not discrediting him in the work he did.
Say it again.
I think I'm not discrediting him in the work that he's done and how smart of a man he was, but he was just very chill.
Yes. And just thinking also about that, because it's like she would be like, oh, let's go out to get drinks with the coworkers or with my friends, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna read my book.
He's just chill.
And it also made me like think about, they always say opposites attract, versus like, if you have something in common, that'll be better, blah blah. And they didn't have that in common. Like there was a lot of things that he was that she wasn't, and she was and he wasn't. And it made me, I'm definitely gonna jump like their history, but it made me think about the time that she said she was talking about marriage counseling,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just like, I had to find myself, and it was in the book where the marriage counselor told her, like, do not do not revolve your life around him. He needs to adapt or work with what you are doing already. And it
Right.
made me think about that, where it's like she she had to at one point move life around for him, and
His whole presidential
mm,
career.
and I was just thinking about, like, throughout the whole entire process, even when she was, figuring things out with him, she again had been a strong, amazing woman by on her own, and here she was, like, stressing herself out, and in my lack for a better term, like, being grumpy that, like, he wasn't doing things for her, he wasn't, like, coming for dinner or all that jazz. And it was just, at the end of the day, it's like, no, I'm not going to keep my daughters up for you so that you can come say hi to them. If you want to come say hi to them, you come during the time that they're up,
Right.
because their bedtime is 8 o'clock. So, like, get your ass here at eight
It's
o'clock.
the same time every day. So if you're trying to be about it, be here at that time. It just also reminds me of in the documentary when she's talking about, I'm kind of losing it right now. Oh, oh no. She's talking about him though.
um, well, I will say,
Thanks.
as you try to remember that, she mentioned something of, like, relationship is partnership, and you need to be equal. And it goes back to what I've been saying, where it's like, don't compromise who you are for the relationship. And she mentioned it, she's like, I knew getting with him, I needed to step my game up
Mm-hmm.
in a different way, because, again, I'm not saying that she um can do her own,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just more of, like, I know where I want to be, and I know where he is going, and
Mm-hmm.
I also need to know that, like, if I want to be here, I need to level up in a different way.
Right. And the thing I just remember, the thing that like the she talked about was speaking to him as a person. And like even in the book talking about wanting to go out and wanting to have fun and him wanting to stay home and read. So when she mentions in the documentary, she's like, they're sitting in the car and he's just thinking, and she's just like, what are you thinking, and hoping that he's gonna say, I'm thinking about you, or something cute like that. He's like thinking about what was it specifically? Obviously something very political, and
Yeah.
basically thinking about poverty and thinking about all these things. And she's just like, ugh, for one second, I just wanted him to be like, I'm thinking about you, or something cutesy, but speaking to the person that he's always been, and
Yeah.
being like, his mind has always been set for this path. He's
Yeah.
always been for the people, his people. He's been for Chicago, and even in the book goes really in depth on the things that he did for the city.
Mm-hmm.
And basically speaking to like, he's been about this, like his life's mission, his purpose was to do this, his purpose
Yeah.
was to be president, his purpose was to do good for the people. um and just I feel her on that. You want that 1 second of being like, I'm thinking about you, but also credit to the man that is my forever president, and
Mm-hmm.
that thought process that he always had and thinking about doing better for others. So
Yeah.
that's
I
the
I honestly love their relationship. Like, I don't know what happens behind closed doors, because another thing is, like, what we see is what they are going to be sharing with us. And I'm not saying that they have anything, like, to hide or any of that jazz, but just thinking, like, the relationship that is presented by them and by other people that I personally love the position, like, in the sense, like, there's going to be so many people talking about them, but what I'm listening to and what I agree with is just the beautiful relationship that they have. And it's a beautiful Black relationship of just, I am me and you are you, but we are working it out and we're figuring this out. And I loved hearing the humanity, and you mentioned this before, the humanity that becoming gave to Michelle Obama, to Barack Obama, where it's like we have been putting them on such high pedestals for their whole like 8 years of being in the presidency. And it reminded me of right in the beginning where she was talking about her last like time in the Oval Office and her going onto the plane, and the minute that she gets on the plane, that's when she like starts crying because she had been needing to be perfect for 8 years. And it's just like I can just understand the toll that that puts on you as just a person, but also as, you know, the first lady. And I'm just thinking like they made it look so effortless. Like they made it look so
They made
effortless.
it easy for us.
And the thing is it's not. And that book showed it. Like me reading that book really again humanized who she is, but then it also reminded me like this wasn't just a yellow brick road that didn't have any characters and didn't have any obstacles. Like there was a lot of obstacles, there was a lot of ways that, like, you know, she was not picture perfect, and there was uglies, and it showed her, you know, with greed and with envy. And it's just like this, and it but it's normal, like, you know, it's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to be upset for certain reasons, but that only made me love her even more. I'm gonna say.
Talking about the love for them, because of, I mean, I'm in awe. A lot of the scenes where she's meeting people and people are like crying, I'm like, I couldn't even talk while I was crying. Like, I just think I like get chills thinking about the day I will meet her
I
in the
like how
universe. The day I will meet her, I just hope I have the words, because just watching this documentary, it was like bawling my eyes out and seeing people crying, and like, again, that hope that they gave and that hope that they still give me, and just the way they carry themselves makes me so proud that meeting her, and the day I meet her, I hope I have at least two words for her, because I will be bawling my eyes out. Bawling. I will be, just to make sure I have tissues. But something that really showed their humility and showed, it's like it was a simple thing, but it was really big for me. And I
Mhm.
actually wrote down the word humility. Word. I didn't even know I wrote it down, but I wrote down humility. And the fact that when she's leaving and they're leaving one of her shows for the book tour, and
Mhm.
he goes on stage with the flowers and everything. So when they're leaving, and like he
Yes.
grabs her, pulls her like to him, so like they're walking and they're hugging, and you've been together for so many years, but the romance is still there. But on top of that, as they're leaving, they're thanking everyone they walk by.
Seriously.
So everyone that's working in the arena, they're literally saying thank you. He's saying thank you to everyone. He says thank you to everyone, even the last person standing at the door holding the door. And I
Yeah.
was just like, that humility is that they had, that character in which people are people, and we're going to treat them like people, we're going to treat them with manners, and we're going to respect them. And even though I'm the forever president and she's the forever first lady, we still respect all people.
Yeah.
And that's not something we can say we see now. And
Girl.
seeing them do that, seeing that walk out of that arena, and even her when she talks about when she moves into the White House and she changes the uniform from the tuxedos,
Yes.
because she's like, one, you guys are human. Also, I'm raising children, and I don't want my children to believe that men in tuxedos, especially people of color, are going to serve you in tuxedos every
Mhm.
single day, and that's normal or that's okay. Like, no, you're people, and yes, you're working in that White House. You'll be working, but you, no, you don't need a suit and tie. You're not going to be in a stuffy suit and tie to work in the, no. On top of that, my kids are going to learn to do their bed, and they're going to learn to clean their room while they're in this White House. I don't care if you're supposed to be doing that, but they're going to have to learn, because once we leave here, I have to have people that are citizens of this world that also know how to handle themselves in this world, not live in this cushy White House where everything's done for them.
Yeah.
So that humility.
I remember when she said it in the interview where she's like, my kids aren't going to be here for forever. And I don't think people have that mindset. Okay, I'm not saying people, I'm just saying, no, I don't think everyone is thinking that way, where it's like, we have the situation that we're in right now, but we don't know what our next chapter is, and we don't know how we're going to be in that next chapter. So it's just like she was thinking about now, and she was thinking about the future, with where she was saying, I need you to be prepared in ways that you don't even know you need to be prepared for.
And you're going to get prepared for it because you're not going to be here forever.
Yeah, yeah. I was very happy to also, or maybe I just didn't hear it, or I didn't surround myself with it, but I definitely, and this is not about Becoming or the films, that I didn't hear any scandals of the daughters. And I'm very
They
happy.
tried a few times.
Yeah, yeah, I do
They
definitely.
tried them, but um, speaking of scandals, there's an amazing segue. It was unintentional, but it was just perfect. I have written down angry black woman
Oh my gosh, me too.
and having to be scripted. Do you? I want your opinions.
I put campaign in big letters, angry black woman. Um, and the next line that I put right after, and was not put on the film, it was like, because she was a threat. And at the end of the day, they need to belittle you, and they need to put you in such a small box. And that's already a huge box that is created for the black woman. And
To
so
discredit.
basically, and it's an easy way to say, you know what, this enthusiasm, this assertion,
Hmm.
and all of these adjectives that are put down, like if you had to put taboo, angry black woman, all of those adjectives that would be put under, it's just like she was threatening, and she was getting somewhere, and she was moving crowds, and she was getting to share her story. And I remember where she was saying, like, things had to be scripted, and I remember her really, even in the story, saying, I started by just sharing my story. I wasn't asked to like read something, I wasn't asked to do anything, I was just put in front of this podium, I was just put in front of the crowd, and I just shared my stories in so many different ways. And it just shows that, like, her being her authentic self was a threat.
And she had to be scripted because it was twisted and turned in whichever way. And those clips of like the news stations, which in particular Fox News station, and the things they were saying about her were really infuriating. But they play on those stereotypes of people of color, that news channel specifically, and they prey on the idea of her being an angry black woman because she was powerful. She
Mm-hmm.
was powerful, she was fearless, and she was very well educated and well spoken. And something that they've done through history to people of color is they want to take away that education, because being well spoken and being smart is a threat because she can hold herself in a room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating to see, but it's the reality that we're in. And again, you have to work twice as hard to even just be considered. But even when you're considered, you're questioned as to why you're even in the room. And having that voice and that power to speak for herself, they had to break that down and try to break that down and discredit her because they couldn't have that kind of power. So
Yeah.
definitely agreeing with everything you said about her. It's just, again, being a woman of color, being a person of color, and coming into these spaces, like, we need to break you or try to break you because we don't want you here. We don't want you here, and we want to discredit everything you're about because we want to make sure that you're a black person here because you got here, not because you're deserving of it. And she was very deserving and always been deserving, and she deserves everything. So,
I
because she
agree.
worked her ass off for it.
She really did.
And mhm,
No, she really did.
oh, she's deserving of it all. Um, so I'm just kind of going through my bullet points. Um, I think one big thing, I'm just gonna keep directing us until you cut me off. But I have a few more points that happen in the PowerPoint. all this college talk, bringing that back to me. But in the documentary, give it credit that it deserves. But in becoming in the documentary, something that I actually was very excited for, and things that I noticed. One, I noticed throughout her fashion, and one thing about Soulful, she is fashion is one of the things, and I'm very big on it. And I'm very big on you look good, you feel good. You don't do it for other people, you do it for yourself.
Yeah.
But things that I learned noticed throughout was the things that she wore, and obviously noticed before the documentary just how well dressed she is. Um, Things I have to call out is one, the blue nails she had here and there throughout.
When she was looking at the photo book.
Yeah, I was just like, something that's become so taboo that they make in the workplace for specifically, saying like you can't have certain colors, you can't do certain things because it's not appropriate. But something that's been big in the urban world and in the world of women of colors, we get creative with our nails, and we love the colors and we love the art, and that's something that's really specific to our culture. That
Hmm.
seeing the blue nails was kind of like, I'm just so happy you didn't come into this room with nude nails or French tips, because that's the clean way, when no, it's all beautiful. And this is very big in our culture to have these fun colors, and not having to question that, and attesting to the fact that now that she's left the White House, she can be her true self without giving a damn.
Yeah,
That's something I was big on. But a quote that she said, one, I'm just happy they had a segment that focused a little bit on her fashion.
I agree.
Um, they could have talked about everything and anything, which they did, but actually giving that a segment made me so excited and happy, because that's something that she has a platform for and she's known for, and she bodies it. I mean, she walks into these rooms just carrying herself already very well, but she be working these outfits. But something she said was, fashion for women still predominates how people view you, and
Yeah,
that's not fair.
yeah,
That's not right, but it's true. That's when, what did she say? That's when fashion isn't just fashion. It's how you turn it into your tool rather than being a victim of it.
yes.
Um,
I
which
re-
I was just clapping to because of the world that we're in, and the way, again, a lot about our culture and Black culture and the things we wear, we're always put down and it's considered less than, but we be dressing, or we use it as a creative outlet, and we use it in a way to carry ourselves in the way that we're comfortable and how we feel good. And her speaking to how that it's not fair that it's so structured in a way and it has to look a certain way,
yeah,
and not just our fashion, our hair, our nails, everything. We have to be a certain way to look okay to people that don't even fall into our culture, weren't raised the way we were, but telling us this is how we're supposed to look to fit in. And her calling that out and being like, you know, rather use it as a tool and how you carry yourself than it being you being a victim of this world saying like you can't do this. And shout out to her stylist Meredith Coop, sorry, Meredith Coop, because she had her looking fire. Shout out to
gorgeous. Yeah, I remember when they were speaking a little bit more about her fashion and just comparing, when the stylist was comparing the way that she was dressing Michelle during the presidency versus after. And just like she mentioned, I had to put on a costume for her during that presidency, where it's like, it's not about how she feels or how, it's not about her representing her identity or her representing the different ways that we are, because honestly fashion is a way of is another way of describing who we are. And I
right.
don't think she had the luxury to be able to do that, nor was the stylist able to do that for Michelle, because like, again, as mentioned, people are not going to be paying attention to the words that are coming out your mouth when you're wearing something that's just easy to like explain or to like talk about. And I feel like I hear this every single time where women are in interviews. And I remember, what was it? I think it was Avengers for Scarlett Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was like a couple of interviews that people were asking her, and then in that interview there was also a man there, and the men, they were like, oh, did you feel so courageous to do this, or why do you feel like you felt that this character embodied you this way? And then for her it was like, oh well, something about your boobs or something about your hair or something about how you looked, and it reiterated it in for Michelle Obama, where it's like you noticed her fashion sense changed completely, because it's like even those nails happened when she wasn't doing her presidency, so like really thinking back, like would she have done that had she been still been in the Oval Office?
No, oh my goodness. Could you imagine the things they would say about blue nails?
Exactly, like this very, like, blue nails, and they'll take it on to a whole nother level and put it in a different context of like, literally, are you serious? Like, you don't have any other things to dig up, and so instead
They
of doing,
don't.
you're gonna make something up that doesn't even exist. But I loved it. I loved watching the difference and then seeing how just the different outfits that she was coming out, and I'm just like, girl, yes.
And I remember that yellow dress, that satin silk yellow dress with the iridescent high boots. I
Yes.
remember seeing those pictures when she was on tour. So like at the present moment, it was all over the internet, and just being like, look at my first lady just killing it out here, like just stepping on these necks, and seeing it again, and how like everyone reacted when they saw the boots in person. I'm just like, I just love this for her because she's being herself. It's like it's freeing, but it's beautiful to see because you can tell it's something she likes too.
Yeah.
She has a stylist, but this is her, and just seeing her personality and all in it all, it's just, I love it all. Oh, I love
Yeah.
her.
My mom, she was like, yeah, well, she wasn't too fond of her outfits at post the presidency, and she was like, yeah, like I don't know how this stylist, and like I just reminded her, like, yes, you have a stylist, but at the end of the day you decide if you want to wear that outfit or not.
Right.
And so, like, yes, the stylist had some type of influence on what she does wear, but she's choosing to put on those clothes, and she's choosing to stand as is.
Yeah.
And I will say I've enjoyed watching her new outfits, and it just reminds me of like something that she said towards the beginning of the film, where it's like, once you are um once you're in the spotlight, you what was it, it was like, your life isn't yours, your life isn't yours. And I think that her post presidency, she is becoming, like the film says, and I mean, yeah, the film and the book says, like, she's becoming and she's stepping into who she is and who she wants to be.
I love her.
I really do. And um other things that have gotten to me is the quote that she continues to, that people know her by, is um when they go low, you go high. And I loved the fact that she was honest, where she was like, they asked her, oh, like, oh, so how are you doing with that? And she's like, I'm trying.
I try. It's written down.
And she's being honest, because it's like, yes, those words came out of me, but like, it's not easy, and I'm not perfect. Like, she continued to reiterate that. She's like, I'm not perfect, and I'm trying as best as I can.
Yes. I wrote that down too. And I was just like, when she said I try, I was like, that's the realest thing ever, because they be trying you out here. They be trying, and I know it's not perfect. And one thing that she shows throughout this is like, I've never been perfect. I've never tried to be perfect. They try to make me perfect because they could find wrong in everything, or they try to find wrong in everything. But I'm not perfect. I am human. I am becoming, and this is who I've been. This is who I am, and this is what you're gonna see more of. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say that I remember just remembering back to when you were like, I'm in tears, I'm crying, blah, blah. And I was like, I had to really put down and think about, what was it that was emotional enough to like make me be like, shit. And I'm going to say that it was a time that she was in church with all of the people around. And I just want to say that that suit that she was wearing for that like day was amazing. I need a suit like that. But basically, the like probably the most seasoned woman in that room was like, I saw you up there, and I would have never known in my life that this would happen, that you guys would be a president, and that you would be the first lady. and and I'm just sad that like my family wasn't even like my parents weren't even able to see it. And she was like, but I saw it for them, and it's just like when she said that, I was just like, damn. Because the thing is that everything that Michelle Obama's doing, and everything that Barack Obama's doing, like they were doing it for themselves, but they also had other people that they've lost in their mind, like in their lives, and
Mm-hmm.
doing it for them as well. And it's like Michelle Obama and her dad, where she was just like, he wasn't here to see the presidency. He wasn't here to see my children, and
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't here to see the legacy that I've created. But it's
Right.
just, but regardless, you're doing it for them too.
Right. And it comes from when she's speaking about being descendant of slaves and basically being her ancestors' wildest dreams. And one thing about that scene when she's in the church and they're, the older woman's talking about seeing it and her response being, your view of me matters. And I had to write, I literally turned on the caption when I was watching so I can get exact wording. And she
Yeah.
says, your view of me matters. And that was big for me because even in her being herself, she really does care about how people see her because she's really doing it for the people. Like you can tell she cares. You can tell it's important to her. And even in that room, you can tell she was also getting a little bit sentimental because she's like, that is important to me. Like if there's a point of everything that we've done, like being in this room solidified that I did something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it had me very proud. And another thing that they showed that I was just very, very happy to see was when she talked about the racism in this country and how at that time people were making it seem like color doesn't exist anymore, there's no more racism, but the reality was they were going through the death threats. They were hearing all these things. The sign basically saying like Obama, keep hanging in there, and it's a picture of the news. Um, her basically talking about the reality of this has always been around and don't let the image of us being here erase that.
Yeah.
And when she puts up the photos and she talks about our brothers and our sister that were slain by police,
Mm.
Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, and the many others, unfortunately having to say many others that were killed by police, and even talking about, even thinking about that, and today and then this week talking about a brother of ours that was murdered while he was running, and I hope I don't say his name wrong, but it's I think Ahmaud
Yeah.
Arbery that was murdered while he was running, and they just literally just murdered him to kill him, and they're not arrested yet. They're and the reality of the world that we live in, and the fact that I remember when Mike Brown was murdered years and years ago, and I remember the people that were murdered after that, and I remember my process of having to learn how to filter a little bit through the years to kind
Yeah.
of protect my mental state, because there's been times that I've literally had to, like, I was at work crying because it's just one of those things that you're like, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of this reality. And even dating back to being in college and the situations I was put in and we were put in a college that was predominantly white, we did face a lot of racist situations. I know I saw it firsthand. I know I had the police call on me for being those people. Um, and just the reality of the world we live in, we have to live in, we continuously live in, and how it's really just sad to see, and especially with the person that's currently sitting his ass in the White House. And the idea that he keeps perpetrating and he keeps acting like, I mean, I really don't care about what he's acting like, but he puts it out there, and these people are following him in that mentality, and it's just been around forever. And just the reality of that we have to live a certain way every day. We have to protect ourselves. We have to pray for each other. We have to support each other because literally there are people out there that want to hunt us down and kill us.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. And I'm just very happy that she gave them a moment. I'm so happy that she said their name. I'm so happy that she said their name. And that the reality is this is still real. I'm going to put it in front of your faces because you're all going to watch this. All people of color, Caucasian people, you guys are going to watch this documentary. And I'm happy she said their name. So that was really big for me.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why there was so much craziness around their presidency, you know? Because it's like the fact that they were able to make it into their house, and being who they are, I didn't realize until later on when we didn't have them there that it's like I was seeing the beauty of them being there while other people were seeing, you know, the, I don't even know what the word is, of just like, I'm out here crying of tears of joy because, you know, having people of color in the White House, which is never ever seen before. It's like these are leaps that are being made, you know. They are going to be able to change policies and, you know, change the way maybe lobbying is happening or things, different things that can change about how we are given advantages or disadvantages. And then when this person, President Trump, is on just opening more our eyes, because I will say, like, me being a human in this world, I was seeing the beauty of President Obama being in the White House, and then seeing Trump here just made me realize what I was blinded by when President Obama was here. And so it was just like Trump just opened up scars that people were already like up in arms because of the 8 years that he was there. But it also just reiterated like we really need to come together. Like we need to come together in ways that we don't even realize it. And Michelle Obama mentioned it, where it's like, yes, I'm mentioning all of these people and I'm mentioning the things that have happened, but I'm also mentioning that like there's good in this world, and that I loved going to their rallies and seeing the people that were there and seeing how hopeful they were, but then also seeing them turn to see the different types of people that were in the room, where it's like this, seeing all these different types of people in the room is hope and it's beauty. And but at the same time, like she mentioned before, where it's like I need to put what's truth right in front of you, where she mentions, like, she's like, I am descendant of slaves, you know, like I need to tell you the truth and I need you to know what is the truth, but I also need you to know all of the different aspects that are going on, where it's like it's just a lot. It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
And going from that, she calls us out, right? She says about voting.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's something we needed to hear. And being election year, we needed to hear that. And it's one of those things when she's like, one of her biggest traumas
She
in the
said
whole
trauma.
situation, she said trauma. And her biggest trauma, one of her biggest traumas was people not voting. And she's like, not just not voting, for the presidential elections, for all the other elections, the Congress and everything, the people that he needed to be put in place to help support him, we
Yeah.
weren't voting for. And she was like, she doesn't care about the people that voted for Trump. Like, she's okay with them because she's like, they voted. My
Yeah.
issue is for the people that did not even vote.
Yeah.
And you can tell it was just like a disrespect for her because she was like, you have power in your hands and you're not taking it.
It's not a game.
It's not a game. And
Said it.
this is something that we have the power to put into place. If we went and voted, we could make these changes. It's not just up to the person in the White House. We have that power. And she calls us out.
She really does. She really does. She's like, she mentioned she was like women and like everybody who didn't vote. And I'm just like, damn. Because at the end of the day, we don't take midterms seriously.
Not at
Like,
all.
no way, shape, or form. I'm an election poll worker, and I work for more like white. Like, I work um in a wider area where people are much more privileged and know, the difference between many Republicans, I'll just say. And just seeing the amount of people that come into this space, because that the location that I'm in, it has two large groups. It has a large white population, but it also has a large minority population. And the amount of white people that are coming in the room is less than the amount of people of color. And it's crazy because it's usually in midterms. Like, I'll work for the presidential election, and like there's crowds, there's people that need to leave because they don't even have time to like come vote because they have to go to work. And then I come to work for midterm, and I'm just bored out of my life because there's barely anyone here. And like I'm also in a section where there's two different polls to go, and we're competing to like make sure that we have like, do you have 75 people? I have 100. It's just like there's so many more people in this like county, or I'm not gonna say that, I'm not saying that right, in this precinct, that like the number shouldn't be 100 by the end of the night. It should not be 100 people that voted when there's way more people
Thousands.
that are in this precinct. And I'm just like, we really we
Have to
really
put value.
yeah. And it's also how we're being raised, and how we're being brought, I'm not saying that right, our upbringing. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, yes, we have autonomy, and yes, we have agency, but there's also things that are put in place that make it easy for us or make it harder for us to not be able to understand what is right and what is good for us. Because it's so much easier to to look away from midterm elections when you have to work at a certain time and you can't go to the polls because you have two part-times, early in the morning or night, and then you have to pay the bills, because if you don't go to the part-time, you're not going to be able to afford just food for the next day.
Right.
So it's just like it's difficult, and they don't make it easy.
And it's a broken system and it's set up to be broken. It's set up to make it harder for certain people to not vote. Um, when she was talking about it, I think as she was saying it, I was agreeing with her. And at the same time, I was thinking it's a system that needs to be worked on, though. There has to be an easier way, a better way for people to vote. I think that us having to cram into a school to vote on a piece of paper is really behind in the times. Like, it's 2020. We can do so many other things. We can do the census online. I can understand the security and wanting to be concise, but there's a system that they need to put into place, or they can work on to put in place to make it easier for people to
Mm-hmm.
vote. And I think that not only that, the education behind it and the value to put on top of not just voting for the president, but voting in all elections. And I
Yeah.
think the convenience of it all, it has to be more convenient. And okay, you guys, it's open until 8 p.m. You guys should be able to go and vote. Don't complain. You just have to go to school, stand in line for whatever. The value, it's more important that you have to do it. Do it. The circumstances might suck, but just get your ass to the polls. But at the same time, I think there are things that need to be set in place to make it easier and more convenient for people to be able to do it. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is set up against, I'm going to say, imagine the city of Brockton. We are a huge city with a very, very large population of people. Now,
Hmm.
all these people have to make sure we get to these schools around the city to vote on time. Now,
Yeah.
imagine the amount of people waiting in line to vote at these schools, presidential election, I'll give as an example because that's when the most people turn out, compared to a smaller city or a smaller town like Avon, where a smaller population of people have to go vote. So, how much longer are they waiting to vote? How much are the odds of more a suburban city of people not being able to make it home on time to vote
Yeah.
compared to an urban city of people working in different aspects, different areas that people work at different hours compared to a suburban city which people typically work the normal 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of areas in which it's really set up better for other people, but I think in general we have to go out. Again, we have to work twice as hard to be considered. So we got to work twice as hard to vote until this broken system is forcefully fixed one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And I think another thing that it's not just about showing up, but also educating yourself.
Right.
Because I will say, like, there's a lot of people that do show up, but then when they get there, they're like, so who am I voting for?
Democrat, 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 Obama.
I like how you did that. But it's just like, yes, there are things that are available. And that's the thing, like, you don't know that what you don't know. Like, I didn't learn until recently that that the that the city, I don't know who specifically pays for this, but we get a pamphlet of like who is running or who is doing it, and like it gives you the information about them and like what party they're in and blah blah blah, and it educates you. But it's like, how many people know that, like, once you get the mail, mail that like usually has all of those, um what is it, like the coupons for Burger King and the flyer for Shaw's and all that stuff,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's all mixed in there. So it's just like, usually I just take that and I throw it away. I'm not gonna lie, but then
Because
like
you can have coupons 2 for 1.
but like, things like that, where that can probably be the pamphlet that can inform you is probably in there. People don't even know that that's coming or it's on its way. So it's just like, we need to do a better job. We need to do a better job of making it there. And I am a huge believer of, like, election day should be a holiday.
Agreed. People should not be working.
Election day should be a holiday, because it's not fair. It's not fair. And I can just imagine that it's not going to happen, because with all of the things that I have been hearing and all of the ways that people have been stopping um other other people from being able to vote, and the way that our history shows, they will sugarcoat it and change the color. They will disguise it in a different way. But regardless of what it comes out to right now, you're trying to stop it. Because at the end of the day, like, I will say, Brockton, like you mentioned, has a strong and very, like, powerful um community. And I don't think that Brockton is taking full advantage, and the people are taking full advantage of the communities and the ways that, like, we can really come together and change how Brockton is. Like, I remember I remember who was it? Jimmy Pereira was voting, and I'm telling you that, like, the strategy, like I'm not gonna say that I know his strategy because I only learned about him till late at night. But he, I don't think, took full advantage of the communities and the ways that he can make a change. Because I just remember also thinking back and seeing like the day that the mayor died,
Mm-hmm.
God bless his soul. 2 weeks later, I was seeing, picket signs of this like Richard guy and like just all this people that like have money behind him. And it's like, yes, you can have money behind him, but Jimmy, you can have people behind you, and people can change the way that you are seen, and the influence that you can have, that money will not buy. And I honestly feel like he didn't take full advantage of the power that he can really grow into and be. But I just remember that, and I was just like, damn. And I think the day that I finally was like, if we really rattled behind him, it was already too late.
It was and the thing is, with the population of the city and the people that did support him, we could have carried him to the win. I think that a lot of it is that education, and not just education on who to vote for and what my platform is and the things I'm trying to bring into the city, but the value of your vote and why you need to show up, and the importance of, if you do not vote for me and the other person wins,
Yes.
you might feel like city level is small, but there's things that I have, that I want to work on, that we could work on and we can create for the city, that if you don't show up, we don't get that because they have a different platform. And I feel like, again, the people, he had a lot of supporters. I just feel like they weren't given the tools on how they can support him to
Yeah.
the win.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of voicing that we want him, we want you to win, and voices only do so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that pen to paper. And I think in general, with all elections, and even thinking all the way into the broad scale of the president, I'm gonna say to the Democrats, the Democratic Party needs to step it up and do something, because they're not doing enough, and they're just trying to hold on to finding people in the urban areas and being cool and doing the cool stuff with us and little things like that they're doing to get the vote. But reach our people in areas that we are in, right? Because a big issue that came in the presidential election was a lot of the ads on Facebook were hacked, right? Or they were created to shift. I don't know who created it. They say the Russians, whatever, whatever, but to shift perspective, to vote more conservative, to vote for President Trump. And I feel like if they're able to do that, where were the Democrats to be on Facebook, to create this education, to create this platform where my mom's on Facebook all day, every day. There's things that we learned for being like the early adopters of Facebook that we've learned and we've grown out of, that they're learning now, that if
Yeah.
they use that platform, they could have gotten a lot of people that didn't really know and given them a view or an understanding, or to teach them something somewhere that they are.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things that break down into it that we don't even know the half of, really. But certain things that I saw at face value, where Democratic Party needs to put in some work too. I know they're working, but I need more work, because I'm tired. And I'm telling you, this week I've been pissed off, and I'm really ready to delete Snapchat, because every time I watch someone snap and then goes into an ad, it's an ad on, please click here to claim your free Trump um, flag and something something. And
Really?
yeah, and it's pissing me off, because every time it goes on, huh?
You can report that.
It's an ad that they pay for.
But I want to say that you should be able to still report it.
I mean, it's not illegal, but I'm gonna see if I can try to report it, because I literally just want to tell Snapchat, like, I don't know if I'm gonna tweet them, what I'm gonna do, and be like, I don't want to see this. I'm
Yeah.
tired of seeing this. I'm not claiming shit, and the fact that they're doing that and they're getting that attention is something where the hell is the Democrat at? Where's my sign here to get a free Biden flag? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
swiping as a Democrat, and they be seeing everything on our phones. They be listening to all our conversations. you can go on Facebook in your settings, and Facebook has you categorized. Facebook knows I'm liberal as hell. It shows it. And it doesn't say like just liberal, it says like highly liberal. Facebook knows this.
Yeah.
They all can see who I am and what I look for. So the fact that on Snapchat, they know damn well I'm liberal as hell. I don't like this man. They keep showing me this ad. And if he's able to still break through and get to me, even though I am not a fan and they know I'm not a fan, then where the hell are these Democrats to put this out in my face and tell me, hey, claim your free Biden hat?
Yeah.
Because people like free shit. So, you know, people are still claiming it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my rant on that.
No,
But
no. But it just reiterates, like, you know, you are sharing right now your story. You know, you're sharing how you feel and how many people are actually doing that. Because I really feel like getting out the vote, you know, listening to all the things that Michelle Obama was talking about, reading her book, and just every single day just continues to, as I'm moving in this world and moving on this earth, it just continues to reiterate that, like, we need to listen to one another. Like, we really need to sit down and listen to one another and listen to understand, not listen to reply, because we need to be sharing our story. Because your story is gonna just open up another tangent of like someone else relating to that story, and then who knows if like you decide that like it we post this video and people are like, you know what, that is so true, goddamn Trump ads are going, and I hate this, and I hate this so much, and like, why isn't Biden doing this? And if people continue to talk about that, and if it continues to be something that people are mentioning, like, oh, where's Biden's stuff, where's Biden's stuff, where's Biden's stuff, the buzz can continue some way, shape, or form and get to him, some, you know, because it's supply and demand. If people are not demanding it, it's not going to be
I'm
supplied.
demanding. I'm tired of seeing these damn ads.
And so like sharing your story and continuing to take up space and sharing the story that you have
Go on
is
Twitter and
say
complain.
it again.
I'm about to go on Twitter and complain. And be
Doesn't
at Snapchat.
and then like who knows how many other people are going to be like, I've been feeling the same way, and like, you know, I also have been feeling this way. But it's like, if you're not sharing that story, no, someone else is not going to be like, me too, you know, and someone else is not going to be like, I resonate with you, and so let's continue to move this notion, or let's continue to move this story around. And it's just like reiterating everything that Michelle Obama has mentioned with everything that she's done. It's like, your story is valuable. You yourself are valuable in ways that you don't even realize, and ways that I know that I'm not even realizing how. Like, my story, my experiences, my memories, my traumas, my tribulations, my joys and blessings, all are of value and are allowed to and should be taking up space, because more people need to be hearing our stories, and more people need to be realizing that like there's not one side to these things, you know, like, yeah.
It's a whole big world of many, many notions and everything, and we can just spew out as much as we want. And I think from watching this documentary, just a lot of things come into mind. And I mean, you can see even through this conversation where so many things came into play outside of just the documentary itself, but the reality of the world that we see and we live in, and
Yeah.
being big on the fact that being soulful she, being women of color, and emphasizing the point that she is speaking, we are speaking and using our voice for hopefully the better, and for hopefully creating conversations, and again being able to listen to each other, yeah, listening to each other and understanding each other and working on doing better. And that's really all I had for notes on the documentary. I just have my two questions.
Okay.
If you got anything else to say, I'll put out those questions again.
I think that I just want to say that like getting to the end of the film just made me even more happy to know that we are going on this journey of Soulful She, just because she she said it herself. Like she said, open up to each other and share our story, and we need to believe our story is valuable, and we need to be vulnerable. And like that is the essence of Soulful She, like taking up space, being okay with sharing our vulnerabilities, sharing our truths, and really, you know being authentic to ourselves and our story and our history. And so I was very refreshingly happy to hear that ending, but also to know that like Soulful She is definitely necessary. Necessary, at least for myself, and I want to say for you as well. But who knows who else will be listening. And so I will say, Michelle Obama, if I can say one thing to you, um, it is just thank you. Thank you for really sharing your story post presidency, because the image that I had of you during presidency is so different than the image that I have of you now, because you have opened up and shared who you are. Because at the end of the day, during the presidency, you were sharing what you needed to share. You were sharing what was necessary. You weren't sharing your authentic self. And I'm not saying that in a rude way. I'm just saying that like the Michelle Obama that I'm seeing now is beautiful. It's light, it's love, and it's bravery, and it's vulnerability, and it's like you're just being authentic, and I love every aspect of it. So thank you.
And I guess for me, if I could say one thing to Michelle Obama, I again, like you said, it's thank you. I think that the image I had of you, the image I've had of the first family in the White House, and the hope and the happiness and everything that you gave me growing up, because I grew up with you guys in the White House, is something I've always would love and respect. And it's very nostalgic to watch this documentary and see you guys. But seeing you outside of that and being 100% yourself, but being honest, being straightforward, being fearless, and just telling us straight and allowing us to see your story, but also giving us the empowerment and motivation to share our own stories. I thank you. And I am so happy for you that you are, I guess, I don't want to say the word free, but free to do you.
Yeah.
And they can still keep talking, but when they go low, you still continue to go high. So I am very, very happy for you.
Hmm.
And with the ending of how the documentary ended,
How are you becoming?
you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I am becoming fearless,
Mm.
outspoken, direct, passionate, and purposeful. I have a purpose, and I am forever learning, but I am and I will be unstoppable.
Damn, girl, you wrote all of this down.
I did this. I had the questions long time.
Yeah, I had it too. um, but I will say that I am becoming an avid explorer of myself, of this world, and of what truly makes me happy, what truly makes me me, and all of the pieces of the puzzle of why I am who I am. So there's a lot that I'm becoming, and there's a lot that I'm learning, and I'm one step at a time becoming me.
Yay. This was beautiful, and I'm so happy we did this. And I'm so happy for everyone that's listened and is listening.
If you
Um,
are.
I know we've been talking, but with being soulful she and having conversations from the soul, we want everyone to have conversations with us even after this is conversation ends. It still continues on our platforms. And we are Soulful She. We are Soulful She Pod on many, many platforms. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We do have our website, which is soulfulshepod.com. So share your comments. I mean, this video is going to be up on our website. The sound's going to be up on our website. There's a comment section, and just bring in the conversations also. If you agree, you disagree, you want to share, tell me one thing that you would tell Michelle Obama. Tell me how you are becoming. Share with us, and let's actually start these conversations and get Soulful She up and running. And I'm just I'm real excited and happy. I'm happy.
Hey, yay. I definitely agree. I want to hear, like, if you've come this far, thank you so much. We thank you for your time and your energy. And then also, like, what have you resonated with? You know, like, we mentioned so much. We literally went here, there, all the way over there. So the fact that you were able to, like, go on this non-linear journey with us, what resonated with you, what you didn't agree with, what you thought was crazy, you know, what did you were like, you know what, girl, yes, yes, you know, or solutions. We would love to hear it all.
And with everything, so exciting to be here. Again, we are Soulful She. My name is Daphne Emily.
And I am Eerees Iris.
And before we always go, we will always say, what do we always say?
We say, he can listen. I usually say this. You say the other thing.
Yeah.
He can listen. They can listen, but she is speaking.
And ultimately, we might be one more drop in the ocean, but we just might be that last sip to quench your thirst. Thank you, guys.
Woo! Okay.